What's up, guys? Today I'm here with this absolute monster. Where do I begin? I mean, this thing is literally a tank. This is the Ussv Rhino GX. Ussv stands for United States Specialty Vehicles, and honestly, what a machine. This is based off of the F450, which was already, for those of you that love trucks, it was already a beefy, solid pickup truck, and they took the platform and they modified a lot of it. A lot of people think that the base is completely identical. It's not. I'll get into the details later with regards to the suspension, front and rear, and the things they did also to the car. Looking at this thing, it's just an absolute monster. It has such a presence on the road. It's actually scary. You don't want this to be behind you in traffic. And I am so tiny compared to this thing. I mean, look. It's really high. I can't even full extended. I can't even reach the top of it, and it really makes me look small. It's very intimidating to be next to, and it's really cool. It looks like a military vehicle, and there's a lot of military inspired features on the car, starting with, for example, these grab handlebars. These are so cool. You're supposed to hold these and you can stand here, and you can either choose the side rails here or here, which allows you to get even higher. Why would you need these? You'd need these to have an army of 4 or 5 people outside holding machine guns and driving this car. I mean, it's so cool, the things that are on this car. In the front you have crazy LED lights, and this thing is surrounded with LED lights. You have them on the side and you have 2 in the rear, and they're very powerful. What's interesting about the Rhino GX is that it's actually one of the largest SUVs available on the market today. And you see this construction, it looks like an odd design, hence the odd shaped windows. This is called a beehive design. It's actually meant to be ultra safe and very rigid and firm. And the other thing is that the way this car is designed, it's designed in a way that its exterior is its own roll cage. So this is kind of like having a roll cage without actually having a roll cage in the car, which makes this car super safe. When I first saw this car, I didn't really know how it might handle and drive, but driving it around and getting a feel for it, I'm very impressed with 2 things. It's really comfortable, much more comfortable than I expected. And the other thing is the turning circle on this thing is ridiculous. It actually turns very tight corners very well, because this beast is designed to be a road warrior as well, not just an off-road warrior. Ussv designed these custom wheels for the Rhino GX, and they're pretty badass. I mean, and it says here Ussv forged, and they're designed to work with the Toyo Open Country MT tires, which are not really as aggressive as they look. They're actually really comfortable on the road. Despite this being a rugged and utilitarian truck, there's a lot of handcrafted things that have been done here, because it is meant to be a luxury vehicle, equally as good as a rugged and military style vehicle. When you go inside, there's a lot of components, obviously, which are the Ford components, such as the steering wheel, which has the Ussv logo exactly in the same shape as Ford to fit in where the Ford logo fits. But looking at it, it's a really nice balance and nice mix of leather and suede. The whole roof is this very nice beige suede. Even the sunshades and the sun visors here are suede, completely suede. The seats are diamond stitched leather, also custom made by Ussv. The interior is massive, and it really is very luxurious. I've sat in the back. Let's go there. You got the Rhino logo as well on the door. You can even see it says Super Duty based on the 450. The side sills are really nice. This is all custom work done by Ussv as the side rails. The rear is really massive. Before we enter, just notice the things that are, again, the logo on the door, the Rhino logo on the side. And this is really handy because it gives you an extra step before you get to the actual step. So you need a step to get to the step, and then you get inside the car. So we go 1 and 2 and then 3. And you have all the space in the world back here. The car is set up with the Alpine system, entertainment and infotainment system. And you have the Alpine system here. You can put movies, watch movies, do whatever. Really nice. You have a nice table here. You got your AC controls from here, hot, cool, auto, etc, etc. And you got 2 more seats in the back, which are pretty big. I really like this car because of the size and the space. It makes you feel like you're in a little tiny apartment in New York. That's how I feel right now. It's really nice. And the quality, the way they've done it is actually really good. There's nothing flimsy, or sometimes, even in American cars, sometimes some things can be a little, you know, not solid, but everything here feels solid and no clunky things. In the back as well, you get your cup holders and you get like a little table on the side. Really cool, really interesting. Getting into it from the back is not as difficult as it looks. You just basically pull the safety pin out and unlock the latch for the spare wheel and tire, which are also a really cool and nice feature. Again, so beefy, so cool, so utility driven. I love that. Before we get inside, I just want to point out the Ussv logo on the exhaust, and these things are made and manufactured in-house for this specific vehicle. So they're nice and they look cool. I love the twin style exhaust system. Okay, again, custom stitched, custom everything, Ussv logo. Because you have these 2 seats all the way in the back, you don't get an insane amount of space here, but obviously they're all foldable, and when they go down you have an insane amount of space. Looking here, you get your headphones and remote control for the Alpine infotainment system, as well as the user manual. And talking about custom work, even the holder for the accessories for the infotainment system and the user manual has suede inside and is a custom piece of leather. So that's very nice as well. Now all the way in the back of the vehicle you get 2 12-volt sockets over there. Not that you're lacking any, because even in the passenger and the rear passenger sides you get 2 of them here, so you're not really lacking on outlets in this car. I mean, even opening and closing, just moving this door, everything feels so well made, and it really does feel so heavy duty. And even closing it, if you're so gentle, let's say, it's not gonna close. Even if you're a little bit harder, it's not gonna close. This thing, you really need to close the car, and I appreciate that. I like it. Even closing this back up is not as hard as it might look, but you can't just do this. You have to really come in and it will lock by itself. Don't forget the safety pin, obviously. Okay, pop the hood. All right, to open this hood you really have to go, because it closes to about here, and when you go in there you really have to go pretty deep to access this to open the hood. Anyways, now the engine in this monster is the 6.7 liter turbo diesel V8, but you can also get these things in a V10 6.8 liter, and it's a normal gas fuel engine, so that's actually pretty cool. Another thing I'll say is, even though it's a diesel engine, it really sounds very nice. I'll give it that. Most diesel cars don't really sound appealing, and this one sounds very nice. All right, let's get moving. for its size. One thing that impressed me a lot is under braking, especially at high speed when you're on the highway, when you're doing around 70 miles an hour. It's a big car, and somebody brake checks you or something, you don't really have to worry too much about it. Another thing is, I'm going to make an aggressive turn now, downhill as well, pretty bumpy. There is not a lot of body roll in this car, and keep in mind, this car weighs almost 10,000 pounds, which is crazy. And it does move. It moves. It really moves. Yeah, I like driving cars like these. They make you feel good. It's just, you know, you can take on anything. If it rains, if it hails, if there's a flood, whatever it may be, you're good. If the road is trash, if you go to an area and suddenly the road is completely destroyed, you don't have to worry. That's one thing I do like in cars such as this. And obviously you can alternate between two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, and then you go four-wheel drive low. So you get those three settings, which are nice. One thing that's cool about the steering of this car is that it's not really ridiculously light, but it's also not too heavy to where you need to pull a muscle, you know, because I also don't want to get in a car like this that's as big, as pretty, as intimidating, and then get into it with a steering that feels feather light. It just doesn't work, and it really doesn't on a car like this. So I really like this compromise of not too hard but not too soft steering wheels. It's pretty nice. I was already a fan, and I liked the 450. I love the F450. I always thought it was a really cool Super Duty pickup truck, and it was a very heavy duty truck. So taking that platform, I think, is a good idea, and Ussv did a great job, I think, with the Rhino GX. Because looking at this thing, there's no way you would think it's related to the 450, but then the more you get familiarized with it, the more you start to see similarities. But they're all good things, they're not bad things, especially on a vehicle like this. The Ussv is said to have interesting features such as the smart key system, but to be honest, a lot of cars have that now. But what I'm interested in is this smart Nav system here, which is basically an all-in-one system on a 5-inch screen, which basically gives you access to all your car controls. And it's really interesting because you can also see behind you through that. It can be a bit disorienting for some people, so you can still see me right here, but you can also go through the controls, do whatever you want. And in case this is disorienting to some people, I don't find it so, but you can easily just switch it off from here and it turns off, and then you have your normal rear view mirror. But I like it, so I'm gonna keep it on. I just wanted to show you guys because I was saying this sounds good for a diesel, and that's pretty cool. That's really nice for a diesel car. Listen to the, it sounds like the blow-off valves. As I mentioned before, the suspension on this car is quite different to the F450. For example, in the rear, the 450 has leaf springs. However, here you have something called the class suspension, which is the compressible liquid adaptive suspension system. And this is really cool. It gives you 3 ride height settings and you can adjust it from inside. This is basically taken from the RV, ambulance, and large vehicle industry. It provides a much smoother, much more adaptive suspension that you can control however you like from within the car. For example, I'll show you guys what I mean. I mean from here. Let's start the car. Okay, see what I mean? Here it is. So with the ride, you have 3 different settings. You have sport, normal, and comfort. And for the height, you can go normal, medium high, high, or medium low and low. But the settings for the actual suspension are only 3, which are the sport, normal, and comfort. I really appreciate the level of handcrafted workmanship in this vehicle, not just from the interior, such as the carpeting and the roof liner, the suede and the diamond stitching, things like that, but also on the exterior of the car, things like the side rails, which are completely custom for this vehicle, the custom wheels that are done in-house, and the rails and the bars. It's just really cool to see, especially on an American vehicle, because I mean, we all know and we love American vehicles, but we know that when it comes to the interior and the luxurious aspect, I mean, they're not exactly the benchmark in the world. Another feature I do like on these things are the fact that you can adjust the pedal length, so you can not only move the steering wheel back and forth, up and down, but you can also move the pedals away from you or closer to you. Just staring at this beast around town, you won't help but think it must belong to a drug dealer, mafia, warlord, dictator, or all the above. The Rhino GX is built in California in Rancho Cucamonga, and of the 300 that were made, most were shipped to China, where the company's owner, Kunji Tang, aka Tim Tang, is from. The Rhino GX's weight starts at 9,000 pounds, being an urban assault vehicle. The towing capacity is said to be 14,000 pounds. However, it does say 10,000 pounds on the vehicle. This just gives an extra margin for safety. I cannot emphasize how good the self-leveling and anti-roll suspension system is, all thanks to a sophisticated algorithm. Ussv designed this algorithm specifically for this vehicle. It keeps the Rhino's tires on the ground, keeping you and your passengers level and steady. Being an H1 owner, myself, I got the pleasure of comparing the GX to its inspiration, and concluded the Hummer feels wider and more off-road capable with more ground clearance thanks to the portal axles. However, the Rhino sits taller with more advanced technology, interior luxury, smart suspension, and has much more power than the stock H1 engine, as expected, being 24 years newer. Despite the GX's intimidating looks to drive, it's extremely simple and easy, while the H1 needs more spatial awareness, mainly due to its width. Rhino does offer a smaller brother to the massive GX called the Rhino XT, which is based off of the Jeep Wrangler platform. In conclusion, I really do like the Rhino GX, and to be honest, I'm not surprised to say this, but I really do want one. You can get these things in 4 different packages. You can get them in the standard model package, you can get them in the select model package, the premium, and the executive model package. This one is the executive model package because it has the dual alternators on the car, it has the sunroof, it has the intercom system, it has the TV, and it has the premium entertainment system, and it also has exotic wood and leather, which is what I noticed in this car that I really liked. Also, another thing you have is the satellite receiver, which is something pretty technical. It's called a KVH Track Vision A9 satellite receiver, and yeah, I guess that's another extra feature. Fun fact about this vehicle is that it only comes in 3 colors. The reason being is, as I mentioned before, that this is a very heavy-duty anti-scratch paint, and that's exactly what you need on a vehicle like this that's meant to perform everywhere, and you don't want it to get scratched up. The 3 colors are stealth black, which is this, and you have tactical green, and you have desert sand, and they all sound pretty cool. I haven't seen the tactical green or desert sand in reality, but I definitely do love the stealth black on this vehicle. This car really shouldn't have been called the Rhino GX. It should have been called the Intimidator, because honestly, it's like take a Land Rover Defender and inject it with growth hormones and steroids and crazy stuff, and this is probably what you'll get. So, because it does have that Defender kind of look, but this is really something else. Very much more aggressive and really intimidating, not just to look at, but when you're driving on the street. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in a sports car or tiny car and have this flying behind me or even pull up next to me. So it's just really nice. And the other thing is, it's not just aggressive. It's not the aggressiveness, it's not the beefy ruggedness of this car that I like. It's the fact that it's really unique. Only 300 of these were made, and so far that I know is that only 20 of them are actually being used on the road right now in the US. I believe the rest left and have been delivered to other countries. So technically, from what I know, is that there's only 20 of these actually running on US roads, and that's according to Motor Trend. So they could have increased that number since then, but regardless, this is still a very unique vehicle. I want to give you a closer look at the suspension and linkages. This is the main shock right there, but there's also many different little linkages over here near the drive shaft. So again, this is all part of the liquid spring system. It's all intricate. It's pretty nice. Ussv's goal is basically to design a meticulous, edgy, crazy looking car to create an incomparable vehicle, and I think they did a good job. I think just by looking at this car, you're not going to see anything like it on the road. And the price tag of this car isn't cheap either. It's $250,000, so it's quite something. What's amazing with these is that yes, they cost $250,000 and they can go up to like around $350,000, but you can also get these things completely armored, actually like B6 completely armored, B6 grade, and they are just ridiculous. But one thing is, with bulletproofing obviously and armoring the car, you do lose a bit of the performance. For example, this right now is powered, as I said, with the diesel V8, but it's 440 horsepower and 860 pound-foot of torque, and it drives amazing right now, and really it does feel nimble on its feet. It's not like a sports steering system, but it's good enough for this vehicle, and it's really nice. It's like a nice balance between not too hard and not too soft. But once you bulletproof it and you add the weight on it, it's gonna lose a lot of performance.